And good evening and welcome. I'm super excited about tonight's show. I'm super excited about all our shows, but especially so tonight. But first of all, welcome. This is Strong and Sassy here on your superstation Joy 99.7 FM. A special good evening to our silent listeners who show up in the most unexpected places. I am so grateful that you choose to stick and stay with us. I know you could be anywhere else, so we love you so much for that. My name is Animwaa Anim-Addo, and we will be on until 8 p.m. Now, tonight, as part of our Boss Lady series, which we've been doing this November, we're talking about women in the event space. I'm sure you've seen these amazing events that happen, large crowds, excellent coordination, excitement, efficiency. We're talking about the women behind those kind of events, the women who are putting things together and making things happen. So that's one aspect of that conversation. But I'm really excited as well to have a lady. This is the first time she's joining us. She is a photographer and the owner of imagesimage.com. A very good evening and welcome to you, Senyo Ejom.
You're a good student.
I love your name. I love your name.
You're a good student.
Also joining us on Zoom is Whitney Boachimensa. She's the managing partner for Innovations Events WBM. Also the co-executive producer for the Three Music Women's Brunch and founder of My Dear Sister's Keeper GH. She will be joining us on Zoom in a second. But Senyo John.
Yes, love.
Let me start with you. It's so rare to see women behind the camera. First of all, I think a few years ago it was almost didn't exist.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of, one here, one
like
there. Yeah. So let me start from the beginning. How did you, of all the things that you could do and choose, why did you choose this?
Why did I choose this? I've said this story so many times. I hope I stay consistent. So why did I choose photography? Because I growing up, I was an introvert, very quiet. And at an age of, I think, 8 years, I discovered the camera. Yes, my uncle George gave me a camera. And hi, Uncle George.
Hi, Uncle George. How are you? Hi, Uncle George.
So Uncle George gave me a camera to take along. My father was taking me on a trip to Russia back then. And then he gave me a camera. So I think I kept the camera. And thank you. And my mother had these very notorious active helps.
Okay.
But she somehow really trusted them.
Okay.
So I took a photo of some of the things they did. And when the photo was washed, she saw them. And I liked the effect. And I thought, wow. This is a silent lapo. I'm telling you, they broke symbols.
Very, very silent lapo. Like, you haven't said nothing.
I was at peace because I'm one person who gets bugged a lot by what I do. Like, I'm very super cautious. So I don't want to cause another sadness. So, Charlie, I didn't open my mouth and people are sanctioned. Oh, God.
Wow.
So the 8-year-old me felt... I fell in love.
Savage, honestly.
Oh, wow.
You fell in love with the fact that pictures will tell stories and you don't have to open your mouth.
Like, perfect. But I was also I've been born in an academia family, but a very entrepreneurial family.
Okay.
We don't care about your media appearances and all. Charlie, how much do you have? Is the bottom line. And so growing up, like you said, the camera wasn't the in thing, especially a woman. And for that matter, when we were growing up, still photography was not regarded. It was more, they respected the videographer with all those, the big camera. Yes, and besides, our family photographer was riding a bicycle.
Oh.
So and then they used to call it photo. Charlie. So look at me. I mean, like, make I go ride. No.
Riding a bicycle. So, hello, sister photo.
Can you imagine? So, like, seriously, photography wasn't on my mind. But when I got to 14, I read a book. Was it Dazzle? There were 3 photographers.
Okay.
And one did automobile, one did societal events, and one did food. It was the food that got me hooked to today.
Wow.
So he had a commission. And he was supposed to have shot for a chef, a French chef. And then when the chef went through, I mean, as a proper photo session, you should have a session with the person, talk about their ideas, meet halfway, what is doable, what is not doable, what will be apt for the person, and all that. So in that session, when the Frenchman came up with the chef came up with his concept, the photographer listened attentively and said, "Okay, so just on the day of shoot, bring me the full bird." Like he was like, "No, I'm a French. Listen, I have special vegetables, special temperature," and then they said, the man said, "Cooking is your turf, capturing is mine.
It's mine, yeah.
So let me do the work." And the chef obeyed and said, "Listen, if it doesn't turn out well, I'm not paying you." By the time the chef came with all the vegetables and all the accoutrements for garnishing, this guy had spent the night, and mind you, I love cooking too, right? Had spent the night mixing oil paint, and when the full bird, the turkey, was brought, he painted, and even the chef was like, "Whoa." The color was to perfection. It was like a perfect baked turkey.
Turkey.
And even the chef was like, "Wow." And I am like, imagine the millions of people, millions of women around the world who be reading this, seeing these pictures and striving to attain such perfection.
Yeah.
Is this children don't listen to this program right now?
Oh,
So it turned me on.
Yeah, I get
Turned
that.
me on. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to capture people's mind. I want to blow their mind. Like,
I love that.
But and I want to do it very subtly. I don't want to be noisy. I
Okay.
just want to drop it and walk. Drop it like it's hot.
Drop it and walk.
I
like it.
So from age 14, then I made a cautious effort. But I mean, in the 90s, as liberal as my parents were, I knew they were not going to pay all those thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars for, because photography education is
It's expensive, yeah.
So I had a friend, Nikote, who was into NAFTA and all that at the time. And he said to me, "Listen, yeah, your parents can afford it, but they won't do it because it doesn't just fit in this time of generation.
Yeah.
So this is what you can do. Teach yourself." It wasn't now. Internet is common then.
No, it wasn't.
internet.
No YouTube,
So,
none of that.
99 thereabout. So he asked me to get magazines, watch a lot of feature films. When you're watching the films, when you're going through these magazines, look for images your spirit yearn to attain. And when you see images, try to be able to tell the angle, right? What do you see in the story? Learn the composition, how everything is brought in together, but how the main subject is still in focus. Do you get me? So I'm a self-taught photographer.
Wow.
So that's how I started. So I finished secondary school. Yes, I did computer programming. Listen, I've done business. I've read business. I'm a trained journalist. People don't know that.
Wow.
And I just finished my master's in business administration. But it's just
That's a weird mix of things.
and that's the thing, as a photographer, and it's very sad, but in this part of our world, when you see you're a photographer and being a woman, you're first seen as a fine bimbo, and then photo dear Charlie, they use your brick, I just they press.
Press, yeah.
But you see, photography is to attain that respect that you walk into your room, you have your command over things and walk away. You should always be reading. I'll tell you one of my my downs moments,
Okay.
my most humbling moments in photography was in 2008. Yes, 2008. So I had done a commissioning for MTN.
Okay.
I was covering the golf. They had some golf tournament, and then I mean that cover. I have this sports magazine, Sports Unlimited. It's a sports photo journal, and I mean, that cover was so all over town. I was feeling myself, Charlie,
Right.
Then a very good friend of mine, and that's it. Photography went down well, can get you places and can get you certain people that you wouldn't, just be on first name terms with you. So the then MD of Calbank,
Okay.
Frank gives me a call. Say, "Hey, my dear, where are you?" I'm like, oh, so come over if you're free. So that's Calback, the former Calback MD. Actually, I got there and I was like, hey, how's business? So, hey, did you see your photo? I said, hey, that edition, that's why I called you. I was saying, the way I respect you. I was like, what do you mean? Everything, color, everything was on point. I used my best illustrator to forget that thing. Hey, I listen, do you study golf? I'm like, hey, Frank,
Where
don't
are
talk
we
to me like
going
that.
with
Said,
this?
humble yourself. I said, okay. I don't think he will remember this, but I remember, right? And then he said to me, listen, and I apologized to the PR and all of the Asantehene. But he said, did you see the club that Santahini was holding, and did you see the session of the turf he was holding on of the course he was holding on? That's the wrong club. You should know better.
Wow. The details.
So as a photographer,
You have to like
you should always read on.
you and club dear, like
Sure.
what is the connection? You are coming to take a picture.
That will be your next gig.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
The people
yeah.
you may have worked for, you may have been lucky. They were so taken by your storytelling,
Yeah.
taken by the way people accepted it. But your next gig has who is here to
Details.
pay the money,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
looks
yeah.
at that fine details. And that humbled me. And till date. So people, I go on commission shoots and people think I'm just too much. I'm like, yeah, I have to too much because at the end of the day, my name is on that photo. I bear the sole responsibility. Do you get me? So you're going to take an editorial photo of a doctor and he still has his watch on or a bracelet on. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be like a theater thing. My guy, do you wear
Details.
watches to the
When you're
theater?
going to yeah.
Do you understand? And you should have read. You should have read this. Do you get me? You're shooting a baker, and then she puts on her cap, some style beat. Charlie, madam, your hair is showing. Oh, I hope you don't mind. Can you stand the bashing that you are not looking kept? Do you understand? So as a photographer, you always have to keep reading to be informed. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Sometimes certain colors can even mean something. So you're going to shoot about somebody, it's all you. And that's photography for you.
Wow. I wasn't expecting all of that because we kind of feel like it's not that
Pressing,
it's easy,
pressing.
but it's not doesn't require as much. But yeah, sure.
It's because of the genesis of photography in our part of the world.
Of the world, yeah.
So you see, photography in itself is it's an elite practice. Okay, but what happened is those who brought it had to recruit helps.
Okay.
Okay, people who were not maybe in that social standing, and then gave them education, on the job education to learn photography. So they were apprentices, and it got passed on, and photography is seen as just that. It's an apprenticeship.
Nothing that's deep and
You
but
know.
it's amazing. I mean, you see some of the pictures these days and they just transport you. Like I mean, you were talking about how much you like the food pictures. I look at food pictures and I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Like because they're
But
taken
then you
so
also
well.
look at most. Forgive me, Charlie. But you look at 99.9% of our food shots here, and you're amazed. There was a project once when the person that was assigned for the company to cook for us to shoot, when she gave the list, she gave salt. I'm like, how do you put salt into something you're going to shoot? You know why?
Why?
Salt kills color.
Oh, does it? Never knew.
Okay, so I know this because I'll give you a typical example. They always have this soup called aguzomi. It's done with the blood of goat. As soon as salt is dropping, the
color
redness.
dolls. Wow. Yeah, Abeku is like, you see, you learn something new every day.
So how are you going now? Who is even going to taste that food?
Exactly. But I mean, you think if you're a chef, then for you, taste is everything.
No.
But then
Listen,
if you're
a
taking a
chef-
picture,
if you're a chef, then you have to know your job is the first job is presentation. for where you are if you're not going to land it on anybody's table.
No, I mean that's what I meant. That maybe their
So we don't
minds
even deal
were.
with the chefs here, you know. So yeah, so it's just all boils down to, and the people who have taken over gradually, we are having the caliber of
Of
people that
yeah,
deserve to be in that space. That should not deserve.
but
Deserve
should
sounds
be in
condescending. Yes,
that
that
space.
should be in that space. We're getting there, and so we're sort of looking a bit too cocky, sort of. But hey, if we get a job done, we get it done.
I'll come back and talk to you about prices
Prices.
because
Ayo.
taking pictures used to be not so expensive. Now taking pictures is crazy.
Ayo.
But we'll come back and talk about that. But did you know that salt kills color? Oh my God, yeah. That's for my choba diary. So
You
when,
see?
when I'm going to take a picture of the fufu, I'll add extra
No,
salt.
you
The
won't
picture
add.
is like,
And
the
it's a
color is
picture.
already killed.
You
But
also have to watch the time and the temperature.
the temperature also
Yes.
affects the
Listen,
picture.
some of the foods you see, but of course, temperature affects color. But of course,
Oh. Did
but
you
of-
know that?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
come on,
I didn't know that.
science. I mean, look at your veggies.
Please, some of us are science, it didn't science.
But so yeah, that's it. Photography is a lot of science. It's a lot of science and literature. You have to, you know, calculate your lighting. What is the effect you want?
Yeah.
Then the literature. What is the story you want? Then
To
there's
tell.
there's the advertisement, the call to action, and all that.
All of those things, yeah.
You understand? Yes. So, who, some of the foods you see, especially when it has to do with meat, what the pros use, they just use a torch. A torch for what do you call it? For the goldsmith and all that. Yeah, that's how they used to bend those meats and all.
There's a name for it. I've forgotten.
It's a touch.
It's the one that the fire comes out of. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a bougie name for it.
Oh,
I just
there
can't-
is, huh?
Yeah. You
Oh,
see,
yo.
you're learning
Hey, I just learned.
something. Even though we didn't know the name, but
You
so
know,
anyway,
but we know there's another
let's
name.
right. Let's
Yeah.
go on Zoom and talk to Whitney Wachimensa, who is also joining us. Hi, Whitney. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi.
How are
Thank
you?
you so much for making time to join us.
Thank you.
All right. So we're talking about women in the event space, and you do a lot of different things. So I think we were really just interested in what the dynamics are, what it's like to be in that space, and what are some of the challenges that you face, in or you faced in becoming who you are today.
Ah, where do I start from? So I am first generation, whatever I am doing now in my family.
Okay.
I come from a family that is predominantly very white collar job people. So my doctors, lawyers, politicians, that's the kind of family I come from.
Okay.
Then I decided that, okay, I love entertainment so much. Let me turn it into work. But prior to that, I think most people just assume that I I've been an events person my entire life, but I've done corporate. My background actually is broadcast journalism,
Oh, okay.
and I have a degree in marketing, in communications, and in PR as well. Recently, I've added a double executive program in entrepreneurship and business leadership to it. So my family can be proud. I'm still brainy. I'm not just into entertainment. I'm doing the other things they would
Yeah.
have wanted me to do. But yes, I'm first generation of what I am doing. And my space, if off the top of my head, if I'll say the biggest challenge has to do with the fact that I'm a woman doing what usually a lot of guys would do. So,
Exactly.
for instance, mainstream concerts protocol, mainstream concerts, it's a lot of guys you find in that space, and the ladies in that space, we are just but a few,
Okay.
and we are all gunning for the same thing, same space, same sponsorship, same partnership, and all that. So really, that's the biggest problem as a woman. But off the side, I've been doing it for 2 decades on our own company for 14 years. So I would say that we're doing good as women. We're doing very well.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about being in a space that is dominated by men. And then, of course, there are a few women, and you're kind of all looking for the same thing. But what's that really like? Because we hear people say, oh, I work in a space and there's a lot of men. But what does that look like on the day to day, or from meeting to meeting, or pitch to pitch? What does it actually look like when you're having to go against men who, okay, I'm not going to make any statements about men who, I'm just going to say men.
Better.
Let me just leave it there. So what is that like on the day to day? What does that look like?
So where typical society, a man would just get up and he's going to work, he's in the space, he can work till midnight, 2 a.m. and has no qualms. For a woman, that is doing that plus a whole lot of other things. So you have a family, you have kids, you have other things apart from the fact that you are also in the space of, I need sponsorship for events, I need partnership for events. So it becomes a headache for you trying to fit all of this into the same space as what men will also do. And you also want to tell yourself that it isn't a hindrance as much, because we've told ourselves that what the men can do, the women can also do.
Yeah.
But we're being realistic by doing that plus other stuff. So if we have a bid, it means that I'm probably waking up earlier than I would. I'm getting kids ready for school because I am very hands-on like that.
Okay.
And dropping them in school before I even decide that, okay, I'm heading towards wherever I have to do my bid. When we are working as well, fortunately, and that is where maybe for some of us, we are very fortunate.
Yeah.
One of the biggest hurdles you can cross as a woman in my field is, especially if you decide that you're settling down, is to have a partner who gets what you're doing.
Yes.
If you do not have a partner who gets what you're doing, that is you're defeated even before you start.
Wow.
So I do what I do. I close at 3 a.m. sometimes. I close at 2 a.m. sometimes. In fact, I close at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. sometimes. So sometimes when your neighbors are waking up, you're not driving into home. And you know how people can talk.
Yeah.
I am sure for my neighbors, if they didn't know what I do, if they didn't see me on TV, they didn't hear me on radio, I'm sure they'll have questions for my husband like, what does your wife do that she comes home at 3 a.m.? What does she do that she comes home in the morning? Initially, it will be very hard. I won't lie that it was hard to take it that you have a partner who has moved from a 9 to 5 job and she's now doing 9 to no time, because events sometimes do not have time. We know how events work in this country. But I think that when you prove yourself that this is my passion, this is what I also want, this is what I am bringing on the table, and I am excellent at what I do, we have to support each other. It becomes easier for you. And it becomes easier for the other person too. So for me, that has been the winner for me.
Okay. Okay.
On the days when, okay, one of us needs to be with the kids because the other person, we've always had that. So you will sometimes see our timetables hanging on the fridge at home so that we know whichever time somebody is going to be there for the kids, whichever time somebody's going to pick up the kids at school, or they're going to have to come some way when it's neither of us.
Yeah.
And that's one of, I think for a lot of women, the fact that they have to combine all these things and they probably do not have a support system, it's one of the biggest problems for us too. But I am thankful that for me, in doing this thing on my own, the past 14 years, before then, over 20 years of doing this, it's been one of the blessings I've had. In fact, I've had such a support system. My support system is that strong that there are days that even my siblings who initially didn't get why their big sister was crazy about this have even also become people I can rely on, that okay, when I need stuff that done, they will be there. So for women, it's one of the big things that I think we need a good support system to know that whatever I'm doing, I have backup.
Okay, let me come in studio, and if Whitney talks about support systems and partners, and how the person that you're with will either kind of move you forward, or and it always makes me sad because when I'm talking to men, it almost always kind of doesn't come up because for them it's kind of like, well, I'll do what I got to do. And
Like, have you ever heard they said a man is late because he had to drop his children somewhere? Like, really? Yeah, but like, I had to come here, right? But I wanted to bath my daughter myself. I wanted to come here and be happy knowing that, like, I bathed her, you know. So, yes,
why is bathing hair so important?
because I think it's one of the most intimate things as a woman. I think for girls, I just sometimes I don't think, and she is as young as she is. I can see that she doesn't like to expose herself.
Okay,
So I want to bath her.
yourself.
Yes, and it's just it's one of those things. As soon as she baths, I feel like the day's work is done.
Mm.
So yes, I like Whitney said, um, I'll tell you. So my earliest wake up call was I had a commission in Italy, right? And I was shooting the serial, and then I had arranged for a nanny because my clients paid for my daughter and I to be lodged in a very good hotel. We had a driver and all, and so I was picked, and then my nanny was supposed to have met me at my hotel and picked up my daughter. The person didn't show up. I kept calling, kept calling. Are you going to tell somebody who spent millions to pay ticket to get hotels and all that you missed a match? You missed the very first match, and it was Sassolo and one other team. I I just the driver was looking at me. I said, "Let's go," and I sat in the car. My daughter was on my lap. I was just looking forward. We got to the stadium. I took cloth and I strapped her
That's all.
at my back. So I went to the gate, and ideally I should have just walked past. So immediately security and everybody ran because first of all, look at you, this black woman in Italy. Like, do you understand? I
Yeah.
mean, in football at certain levels, as much as yes, for that day, I think I was about the only woman on the pitch too. So like, they stopped me immediately. Said, "No, mother, baby, no." I said, "Me, field, I have to shoot. Me, nanny, no come. What do I do?"
And they don't speak English. I
And
don't
that's
get
when it
that.
occurred
Yeah,
to me
yeah.
that in all sports events, there's no provision for mothers in all coverage, whether it's the Olympics, whether it's Syria, whether it's Ghana League, oh yes, the Ghana League, whether it's the the US, whether it's Premier League, there is no provision for mothers.
Wow. So
Do you
how
get?
so how
I
did you do it?
well,
You
so I told them I needed to shoot because my player was on the pitch, so I had to shoot. So they said to me, okay, then they would not allow me onto the pitch because as as soon as they allow you, you are their liability. Like they have to bear liability for you. Anything that happens, they have to take it on. So they would rather I go off the pitch and onto the first line. So they cleared everybody so that when I pan my camera, there's nobody in my
okay.
shot. Yes. So, but and I said to them, and they thought that they said it in a way that would turn me off. I said, "Very good, magnifique, very good. Listen, that will give me unique angles." They're like,
Wow. Who is
whatever.
this
Yeah,
person?
so I tied my cloth. I had my child behind me, and I shot 90 minutes. I shot during the, and she slept. Can you imagine? She slept throughout
Wow.
all those noise. She slept. So yeah, she slept. I went through, 45 minutes. I fed her. So I went onto the pitch with all my accoutrements. Yes. So, so that's it. Like Whitney said, the first point of call, yes, having a family, starting a family becomes the other challenge. But for me, the funniest and funnest challenge of being a woman And then being a black woman,
Mm.
being a woman is a challenge. And then being a black woman,
I think
just
sometimes we don't talk about the color enough because we're here in Ghana, and so like
okay.
we're
So
black,
maybe
and it's
I'm
okay.
exposed to it.
No, no, no,
because
but
yeah,
no, it's an
yeah.
interesting
It
perspective
is like
because being a
because
black
being
woman,
a black woman, you're a woman, and then
and
being
then
a
you're
black
black,
woman. You see, when
and
you
then you're
go,
African black.
Charlie, and look at me, Charlie, like
Yeah, and
jet
then
black.
your name can't be pronounced. Like it's not
You know,
Lakeisha or
oh, but
Tanasha.
funnily, the Russians are able to pronounce my
Oh,
name better.
really? That's
But so I tell
interesting.
you what, in 2005, when I decided to go into sports, I started photography in '99.
Okay.
Then I decided to do sports in 2005. I stepped onto the Accra Sports Stadium and I met photographers. My shoe is not too good, but I could get it. They were very condescending. They look at me and they smiled.
The male
Yes,
photographers.
of
Okay.
course, it was just males.
Why were they smiling?
They laughed, and then one said, "My chi, don't laugh, but Okase, you be diagro, like
Okay, say a bediagro.
perfect." And I smiled. I smiled because I'm coming from another angle. You see, I am not just a photographer. I'm a communicationist. I studied communication like Whitney. I did all the advertising management, was communications. I studied journalism. And so, and I have added a bit of psychology to study human body language. So I'm able to tell when you don't get a shot as a fellow photographer. I'm able to get. So I shoot, then I get it, then I see the squint in their eyes. I'm like, okay, I didn't get this one. They started. It was like me registering because it was, things were not heightened. There were not, only online things going on back then that they would see my work online immediately and know. So I showed it them right there. I'm like, oh. Then they started looking at each other's face.
Wow.
Funny, but this is why I'm telling you this story. That was 2005 at Accra Sports Stadium. 2014 in Brazil, I get almost the same condescending thing from two Frenchmen, Caucasians. So
10
it's
years
not,
later.
yeah,
Same.
in another part of the world, right? That was in Southern America with Europeans. So what am I saying? I'm saying that there's this comments that we make that sounds to somebody like me. It sounds very funny. So ask for Ghana idea. Actually, it's not a Ghana thing. It's a phenomenon that you're a woman, and that's just it. It's just that in the Western world, there are structures to how you talk, and so people are not able to alter certain things, like just talk, but they would rather talk amongst themselves. Do you get it? But it's not just a Ghana thing. It's just an African thing. It's something we have to face all over. They see you, for example, they see me, and sports photography, and then for that matter, football, is a very alpha male thing. Even within the men, let's just say photography was for men. But shooting sports is shooting sports. Anybody who shoots
It's
sports,
elevated to like
yeah.
alpha level.
But anybody who shoots sports also shoots wildlife
Okay.
because they go with the same kind of gears.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't want to underutilize your investment, so you also do wildlife, and it's some sort of alpha thing, like it's the man of the man
Yeah,
that
yeah.
do it. So they have their space, they share a dirty joke, and now you're in the midst of it. So they see you as an intrusion.
Yeah.
So as soon as you sit in between them, you just get a look on their face. But that turns me on.
I was just gonna say, why do I get the impression that you enjoy it?
And
I
I
you had this
enjoy.
look of like, yeah.
I'm
like
like in 2010 during the World Cup. So I was hungry, and Charlie, food is pricey during these times in the media center and all. So I prepare my own sandwich chutneys and I hide in my bag.
okay.
And so during the halftime, I was eating. And then or was it a boring match? Something. So I was eating. And one of these very elderly Asian photographer, he turned to me. And I think, and you know what? When you say, the Asian photographers are very passionate. Like the French are passionate.
Okay.
The French are so into what they're doing, so uptight. But the Asian is another game altogether. And they're so straight. It's like life at this moment. Like they have to capture the very word second. Like, do you get me? So
Yeah.
they don't joke. You can't be flexible around them. You're not serious if you are. So this guy looked at me. And then I'm not laughing at his accent, but I'm just, he said, "But you really didn't eat yet?" I said,
Wow.
"Yes." So I said, everybody started laughing around there. I said, "Hey, guy, I'm going to pour my hunger on this guy today." So I said, "Yes." Then he didn't. Then I turned to talk, and he made it easier. He didn't keep quiet. I said, Who do you work for? Huh? I said, oh, me. They said, yes, me. I work for Japan. Da, da, da. I said, oh, at your age?
Wow, that wasn't very nice.
Then everybody turned. So who do you work for? No, I can't be working for anybody. I brought myself here with my assistants. No. At my age, come on. At your age, I expect to own a conglomerate. Like, what are you doing here? You're over 60, aren't you? That ended it. Those set of photographers, they see me, hello, and they say that hello, you know.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and then if you're not mindful, and Whitney would agree with me, if you're not mindful, you don't put yourself in check. You become unnecessarily edgy, rude, like sharp tongue,
Defensive.
defensive.
Yeah, defensive even when no one has attacked,
But
because
I'm like,
you're
Charlie,
anticipating the defense.
exactly, the attack. And I'm like, you know what? We all came here to work. You are even for somebody. I came here for myself, so I should be more aggressive. Whatever. Let's just do it. But the thing is, like Whitney says, if you're when you do what you're doing and you do it like you invest in it and do it that well, right? They call on you. They come and ask you for how to do this, that, and you are not like really one of them because again, like Winnie said,
So you're
or
not
like
in the
guys,
boys club.
exactly,
But you're respected.
but you're respected. If my father would say, even if it's from full respect, if in front of me you will say this, and then if I turn you say you're a fool, I turn. It's my back case.
Yeah.
But in front of you, they don't talk
They don't.
trash.
Wow, I wanted to actually, there's some of the questions I was going to ask you that you've answered already. I wanted to talk about
Yeah, I talk,
proving yourself. No, it's fine. This is a talk show.
Yeah.
It's about proving yourself. I was going to go to Whitney about this aspect of proving yourself. What has that been like for you? Because I'm figuring that you're at the point where you've earned the respect. Your name is on on the table and all of that. But what was the journey like of proving yourself to the point where you're able to also call the shots? No, that's for Whitney first,
Okay.
and then I'll come to you. Hello.
Um, so for me, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can.
So one of the things I learned early was to understudy, take my time, have patience with the women who I came to meet in the industry. So I kind of learned the ropes early. And in learning that ropes, I learned to do what I do and excel at it with all my might. So, for instance, because everybody knew that I had already been on projects as far back as Joe Thomas concerts, and they knew my
I
capabilities.
remember that concert.
It was easier.
Wait,
Okay.
Whitney, wait. That concert was it at the National Theatre?
Yes.
When he
yes.
came to Ghana, I was like 15 or so. I was at that concert, bro. I was totally at that concert. And he sang, I Believe in You. And my friend Lulu and I fell in love and were like, oh, this is it.
This is
Meanwhile, my father didn't know
So
I
you
was
see how
in
long
my
we've been
room.
doing this, how long we've been at this.
That's like 20-something years ago.
yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So
wow, wow.
it was easier to pick up the ropes and decide that, okay, this is where I want to go. And even for that, when you start your own company, you need to do pro bono for the people you have saved, so that, because in this country, one of the things that carries you is word of mouth with the right people. Once you have people, the right word of mouth, and they sit in rooms
we're
opportunities,
okay.
and they enter into doors that will open for other people. They easily mention your name, and then you pick up from there. And just to ship that.
Okay, I think we've lost we've lost the connection. So if you can just pick up from where she left us, so about
Was
proving yourself.
I kind of subtly have a problem with the word, the phrase proving yourself.
Okay.
I thought I look at it more as developing myself. Like proving yourself means that you know, I don't know, but I just don't like to identify with that
That's
statement,
fine.
proving myself. I have
So let's
I
put let's
chose
put the
to
earning a seat at the table.
I chose a field that really, why are you there? If when you find people or you find women or men in certain professions that are predominantly known or identified with the opposite sex, if they are there, automatically they're good.
Okay.
That's what people need to know.
Okay.
If what are you doing, an English person doing French, if you don't have the gift, why are you in the French class?
Yeah.
Why are you in the university studying
I
French?
get what you mean. Yeah.
So I justify, not I don't prove.
Okay.
I justify why you choose me. I study a lot. Okay. I need to know. I go very strategically. I study a lot. Those ones that were late for a training, a black star training, and I
Okay.
think that was the time that the all black, all Ghanaian technical team was put in. And
I
my
think I
boys were
remember
all,
that one.
yes, my
Yeah.
boys were all jittery, and then when I got it, the national security people, one spoke out, said, "Oh, Davy, like you're late. Oh, they've taken all the photos I've left you." I smiled, and then my boys were so down, and they were looking because I had a presentation. So I was obviously the one who made the whole team late. So I look at them. I turned, and I looked at a certain setting. I asked. I said, "Give me a 70 to 200." They gave me. I shot. Then they said, "So should we move?" I said, "Put that photo online." They put the photo online. What Michael TJ picks it. BBC is using it.
Wow.
Within 15 minutes, the coach turned and said, but madam, your name is here, you just said. It's about learning that it's not about taking those many photos. It's not about doing those many works.
It's one
It's
picture.
with what you
It's
put
one, yeah.
in your work. So it's not about proving myself. It's about investing to command the following.
I get that.
Do you understand? Proving yourself is like you have to like tell somebody, no. I don't live to prove myself to you. I look at myself and I should have that confidence in my work. I don't prove to nobody. That's how I live my life. If you decide I don't know something, I don't mind. That's fine. Do you understand? I don't mind at all. I tell my sisters, if one person didn't, my sisters, my siblings, if one person didn't tell me something, no, don't worry. The person doesn't want to worry me. They think I don't know. So I can't help. So I don't prove myself. I live, and that's the thing about being an artist. You need that space to go far. You don't need to, and that's the thing I really want to pass on to those in the industry, whether young or old. Sometimes they get carried away by other people's works. Be inspired, but don't feel the urge to prove. Be inspired to put in, but don't feel the urge to have to prove. Actually, because somebody once said something that consistency is not necessarily an evident, or does not necessarily depict that the person's making it. The person can be taking photos of this and that. Is he even charging? Is he getting the money? Stay in your lane, learn, be inspired. And that's the thing about art. I'm not talking about photography. I'm talking about
The
everyday.
arts in general, yeah.
Yes. Art is within. Art is almost, for want of a better word, is spiritual. Because sometimes you look at a person's artwork and you wonder what came into their mind. You look at Whitney's setting, some of the table setting, you're like, okay, so how did this woman know to put this, to put this? You have to be at that place where you're at peace with yourself, where you own your space, where you just have to think. But if you're looking behind your shoulders and you're, hey, what are they doing? It's like you're running.
That applies to so many things.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about
music,
photography.
it's so,
I'm
so
talking about
many
life.
things. Yes, even just life in general.
I'm talking about life.
Yeah.
As soon as you have to prove yourself, you are turning your back.
You shift your focus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine you're running.
And you keep on looking back. Or trying to see, where's this person, where's this person?
No, focus.
Focus.
That's why I always tell people that I live my life like I'm playing golf. Golf is not between two people, it's between you and the course, the turf. You have to overcome the obstacles and all that. That's You have to overcome the obstacles in your chosen field. Anymore, who do you want to who inspires you? And I don't have role models. Yes, because we tend to now become copycats
Yeah.
instead of being inspired by the person. Just a session. How did you know of the person? Why is the person relevant to you? Not because they're beautiful, they're huge and tall, but because the person is into broadcasting and has earned a seat at multimedia. And so focus on that. Don't go digging into the person's life and how they learn. Then you're copying. Do you understand? So you learn to be inspired by people. So I want to be like this. There's one woman who inspires me. She's not blown. She's called Anne Libovis, right? She's not blown by. She's a photographer. She used to be
Sounds
with say
familiar, yeah.
Rolling Stone or yes, and she's not blown by gears. You know how people like to have the whole gear here, there. No, as soon as I see Anne Libovis photos, I know. She shot. She was one of the first photographers to have shot Serena Williams' first pregnancy. When I saw the photo, I was like, "Oh, Anne shot this," and they're like, "Ah, but you didn't reach." I said, "Yeah, it's so simple, but when you sit down to take it, then you will know that there's been thought put into it. It looks like some point and shoot, right? It looks like she just clicked, but when you sit down, you see how even toned the lights were. You see the composition." And she said one thing was, she said she was going to shoot somebody, and then at the time the person was getting some media bashing. She was on fire, so she turned and she was like, she wants to say that story in her photography. How can she say? Then she remembered that there's a refinery around. So there was blazing fire coming from, you know how there's this outlet. So she took the lady there. Or was it that there was a car explosion? But literally, there was this fire behind her. And she shot the person. So the person is literally on fire, right? Very simple photo.
Yeah.
There was another to where she talked about a woman lying on a bed of roses. Like that's how the media perceived her life. I think she was an actress who was now married to the top actor. So a bed of roses. So she made them pour roses on a bed and she lied in it. And said she's believed to be lying on a bed of roses. So
Simple.
very that's how I shoot.
Yeah.
And I take it into sports too. I take it into everything I do. I tell people when I'm shooting Gata to Gata by some 11-year-olds at Nima, the same passion I'll use shooting Germany, Brazil, or wherever at which World Cup finals. It's the same energy. Because what we don't know is imagery when done well costs about the same price.
That's true. That's wow. I wish we had like another hour.
You see.
I really, really, really wish that we do, but we don't. Our time is up. But thank you so much for joining
Please,
us
my
tonight.
pleasure.
It's been amazing, and thank you to Whitney. We lost the connection at the end, but Whitney, thank you so much for joining us. We're grateful that you can make time. And Senyoe Jom.
You're a good student.
I
Say
love
it
the
again,
name.
say it again.
Awusi Adadevo. Those have been my guests for tonight, women in the event space. And it's so interesting. I'm walking away with the mindfulness that you have to be intentional.
You have
and
to be intentional.
focused.
Very deliberate.
Yeah. And you have to invest in yourself so that you can give the best. So thank you so much. Thank you so much to the entire team. We'll be back next week. Our last next week will be the last series, the last day of the series, talking to our boss ladies, and then we go into December. So Christmas is coming up. But thank you guys so much. You can watch the show on Facebook if you missed any parts of it. Also on YouTube, if you missed any part of it. My name is Animwaa Anim-Addo. We'll be back again next week, God willing, at 7 p.m. For Steve.